Hello brothers and sisters, in this video we will be talking about 4 prophetic events that will take place just before the return of Jesus Christ. Just a fair warning, we will be going through a little bit of reading, a little bit of history in this video. So let's get into it. We are going to start with the book of Revelation chapter 6 verses 12 through 13. Keep in mind that this is the 6th seal. And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken by a mighty wind. So we see here these 4 prophetic events. We see first the great earthquake. Then the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars fell from heaven. We will be looking at these prophetic events right here in this video. The first one, prophetic event number 1, we will be looking at the great earthquake. The Lisbon earthquake was one of the deadliest and most influential natural disasters in European history, striking on November 1st, 1755, and killing tens of thousands while reshaping philosophy, science, and politics. So, this first prophetic event took place on November 1st, 1755, with the Lisbon earthquake. Some key facts about the 1755 Lisbon earthquake. The date and time, November 1st, 1755, on All Saints' Day, around 9:40 a.m. local time. The magnitude, estimated between 8.5 and 9.0 magnitude, making it one of the strongest earthquakes ever recorded. And the epicenter was about 200 kilometers southwest of Cape St. Vicente. Casualties, between 60,000 and 100,000 deaths, with Lisbon alone losing around 60,000 people. Destruction, violent shaking destroyed churches, palaces, and about 12,000 dwellings. Fires and a massive tsunami followed, nearly obliterating Lisbon. Says the earthquake struck on All Saints' Day, a Catholic holy feast day that brought hundreds of worshippers to Lisbon's churches and cathedrals. It is estimated that much of the city's population, around 200,000, was gathered for Mass. This was at the time the earthquake hit. On this day, churchgoers lit candles in the city's many churches, and when the earthquake struck, tearing down the buildings and structures that weren't designed to withstand the tremors. The lit candles started fires that further compounded the destruction of the day. The fires destroyed the city for days after the last of the tremors were felt and took even more lives. You may judge of the force of this shock. When I inform you, it was so violent that I could scarce keep on my knees, but it was attended with some circumstances still more dreadful than the former. On a sudden I heard a general outcry, "The sea is coming in, we shall be all lost." This was an excerpt from the eyewitness account of the Rev. Charles Davy, who survived the disaster. The earthquake was just the beginning of the terror faced by the inhabitants of Lisbon in 1755. As the buildings and churches crumbled down around the people, they fled for the streets to escape the crashing rubble. Those who survived ran down to the relatively open areas of the docklands near the Tagus River. As the tsunami prepared to hit the coast, the water of the river retreated, revealing sunken shipwrecks full of treasures. The excited Lisboetas ran towards the water to plunder the wrecks, wading in the shallow river. Suddenly, a massive 9-meter-high wave pummeled its way through the Tagus estuary, making its way up the river and flooding all low-lying areas, including the areas of Baxia and Balaam. During the following 3 hours after the earthquake, an additional 2 tsunamis hit Lisbon. Thousands of city residents who had survived the initial quake were drowned by the tsunami or killed in the rush of debris. that the water carried with it. Those who survived both the earthquake and tsunamis were forced to combat ravaging fires spreading through the higher ground areas of the city, untouched by the water. As the religious celebration called for flowers and decorations in addition to the candles, the fire spread easily through these materials. The fires weren't put out until 5 days after the earthquake. Friends, total destruction from this earthquake. It was felt. A quarter of the globe felt this earthquake, especially around the Lisbon area. There were tsunamis at this time that were hitting the Caribbean. Friends, this was a massive earthquake. And this was the first prophetic sign, the Great Earthquake of 1755. Now, prophetic event number 2. The Dark Day, Part 1. The sun is darkened. New England's dark day occurred on May 19th, 1780, when an unusual darkening of the daytime sky was observed over the New England states and parts of eastern Canada. The primary cause of the event is believed to have been a combination of smoke from forest fires, a thick fog, and cloud cover. The darkness was so complete that candles were required from noon on. It did not disperse until the middle of the next night. Revolutionary War soldier Joseph Plum Martin noted, "We were here at the time the dark day happened. It has been said that the darkness was not so great in New Jersey as in New England. How great it was there, I do not know, but I know that it was very dark where I then was in New Jersey. So much so that the fowls went to their roosts, the cocks crew, the whip-poor-wills sung their usual serenade. The people had to light candles in their houses to enable them to carry on their usual business. The night was as uncommonly dark as the day was." The earliest reports of the darkness came from Rupert, Vermont, where the sun was already obscured at sunrise. Professor Samuel Williams observed from Cambridge, Massachusetts. This extraordinary darkness came on between the hours of 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. and continued till the middle of the next night. Reverend Ebenezer Parkham of Westborough, Massachusetts, reported peak obscurity to occur by 12, but did not record the time when it first arrived. At Harvard College, the obscuration was reported to arrive at 10:30 a.m., peaking at 12:45 p.m., and the abating by 1:10 p.m. But a heavy overcast remained for the rest of the day. The obscuration was reported to have reached Barnstable, Massachusetts by 2 p.m., with peak obscurity reported to have occurred at 5:30 p.m. Roosters crowed, woodcocks whistled, and frogs peeped as if night had fallen at 2 p.m. in Ipswich, Massachusetts. A witness reported that a strong sooty smell prevailed in the atmosphere and that rainwater had a light film over it that was made up of particles of burnt leaves and ash. Contemporaneous reports also indicated that ash and cinders fell on parts of New Hampshire to a depth of 6 inches. Friends, it was so dark in the middle of the day, people needed candles to be able to see. The animals thought it was night. The sun was completely blackened in the New England area and parts of eastern Canada. But listen, there's more. Prophetic event number 3, the Dark Day Part 2, the Blood Red Moon. At 2 p.m. in Ipswich, roosters crowed and frogs peeped as if darkness had fallen. A witness reported that a strong sooty smell prevailed in the atmosphere and a dark sooty rain began to fall, full of burnt leaves and ash. The first half of the night was hideously dark, and no ray of light from moon or star could penetrate the darkness until after midnight, when a blood-red moon emerged. By the next morning, dark ash lay along the banks of the Merrimack River in Newburyport, 4 or 5 inches thick. When the sky started to clear a little bit, eyewitnesses said the moon was as red as blood. The Boston Independent Chronicle proclaimed a portentous omen of the wrath of heaven and vengeance denounced against the land, the immediate harbinger of the last day, when the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light. An alarmed Boston resident sent her servant in the midst of the darkness to ask the local minister whether he thought the blackened skies portended some coming evil. The ministry glibly responded, "Give my respectful compliments to your mistress, and tell her I am as much in the dark as she is." Now look at Joel chapter 2 verses 30 through 31. "And I will show wonders in the heaven and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come." And the Bible reiterates these verses. In fact, the Bible reiterates this whole chapter in the book of Acts chapter 2, but more specifically these verses in Acts 2:19-20. I would encourage you all to read this, to understand these prophetic events, because they have taken place right when they were supposed to. Now, event number 4, the falling of the stars. The falling stars of 1833 refers to the Great Leonid meteor storm, one of the most spectacular astronomical events ever recorded, when tens of thousands of meteors lit up the night sky across North America on November 12th to the 13th of 1833. The Leonid's meteor shower is one of the 10 biggest meteor showers of the year. Every 33 years, however, it becomes even more intense as the comet 55P Tempel-Tuttle makes its closest approach to the Earth and Sun. The Great Leonid's meteor storm of 1833, however, was unusually prolific and became one of the most spectacular astronomical sights ever seen in the modern era, with many people believing that the world was coming to an end. It also occurred at a time before electric streetlights had been invented, and the moon had set in the early evening, providing North America with an unobstructed view of the sublime celestial phenomenon. Needless to say, the story was picked up in various newspaper reports as the night the stars fell, with the following description of the Wall family's experience, giving an insight into thoughts and feelings of witnesses at the time, as a report written by Bruna McGuire and Betty Wall explains. Friends, these events, all 4 of these prophetic events, happened right where they're supposed to. One right after the other. The earthquake, 1755, right? The sun and moon, 1833. And now the stars. No, the stars were 1833, excuse me. The sun and moon were 1780. Friends, this was almost 200 years ago when these stars fell. It is now 2025. We're about to enter 2026. This is the 6th seal. What is the next great prophetic event to take place that happens right after these? Let's look. Revelation chapter 6, we will look at verses 14 through 17. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? The next great prophetic event that will take place is the return of Jesus Christ. Probation is about to close, brothers and sisters. Do you understand how long we've been living in the sixth seal? How long, brothers and sisters, have we been living in these last days? The sixth seal started November 1st of 1755. We're at the close of Earth's history. We are this close, brothers and sisters. Are we getting ready for the return of Christ? Are we getting ready to end our earthly history? The clock's ticking, brothers and sisters. It's time to get ready. If you aren't ready, you need to be ready. This is John Tinsley with Everlasting Rock Ministries. And always remember, the truth never fails. God bless you.